Have you ever noticed that the Japanese version of Yokai Watch Blasters is titled Yokai Watch Busters? And hang on a second, isn't that ripping off Ghostbusters? Well, yeah, we'll get to that, but first, let's talk about how this game came to be. And it all starts with a game called Yokai Watch 2. One of the side modes you could unlock in the menu was a game called Yokai Watch Blasters. Well, I'm pretty sure it was Busters, I'm not really sure. This was a game mode where you and 3 of your other friends could participate in a raid battle combat mode where you play as the yokai that you own. This was a proof of concept for the upcoming game that this video is about. But before that, the third version of Yokai Watch 2, Psychic Spectres, comes out. They have a new version of the Blasters game, Psychic Blasters, obviously because the game's called Psychic Spectres. This was the same, but now there was more bosses, you could play by yourself, and there are more options to the difficulty. This was a really fun game, and I'm pretty sure at its time it was a very big deal. But then, the release of Yokai Watch Busters. So you know, the US versions of these games tend to come out a very long while after the original. The name Yokai Watch Busters was very similar to the movie Ghostbusters, and it wasn't just the title. The special suits for Jibanyan and Koma-san looked very similar to their outfits in Ghostbusters. The car looked very similar, and even the final boss was literally just a whisper version of that marshmallow guy. I'm not sure what they were doing, but it kind of looks like a parody of the movie. But I mean, they're in Japan, they can get away with this. But when they had to localize the game, they made some tweaks. Jibanyan and Koma-san's suits got changed. The car, I don't think, changed very much, just with a couple of slight details. And the final boss just looks completely different. More of a snake-like type with a giant tongue. Man, Whisper be getting 2 different boss forms? That's crazy. I'm not sure how this kind of stuff works in like the world of the lore and whatnot, but obviously it was to make sure that they didn't get in trouble. I guess like, you can't get in trouble if you're in a different language or something. In the game Yokai Watch Blasters, the game Yokai Watch Blasters seems to be a fully made story game based on the mechanics in Psychic Blasters from Yokai Watch 2. Almost like that old version was a demo, and this is the full game. You start off with 4 rookies, Jibanyan, Sanmei, Hydabat, and No Way. And well,
these are the bottom of the barrel blasters everyone's been talking about.
In the game you go through expeditions, fight bosses, solve each mystery through chapters. The title cards are really cool with like the TV. I always thought that was really nice. And I mean, if you can get into this game, it is really fun. The combat's super cool and you can pick up items along the map. You pretty much play as the yokai in the overworld, but at nighttime. As you go through the story, different things happen, but in the late game, a giant, not very similar character shows up and is trying to like destroy the world or something. I don't know. Remember how I said that this guy's original Japanese model looks like the cream puff guy from Ghostbusters? Well, when they made the change for the final boss, the little minions that he has didn't change at all, so they look so much different than the actual boss. Anyway, you fight this final boss on top of a roof with all the different members helping fight against this thing. And at the credits, you get this crazy ass outro. Simple, right? Well, this game has the longest post-game I have ever seen. It has 3 extra long chapters, which are pretty much just one or 2 big chapters, and a free DLC that expands the game with a Moon Rabbit Crew story. So they add Usapion, which is one of the main characters in Yokai Watch 3. I'm really confused about how that works, but I'm guessing they came up with the yokai being like, yeah, let's test him out in Blasters, and we'll have him in Yokai Watch 3. But like, this guy was the guy, the American yokai. They straight up mention it in one of the quests. When you update the game to the Moon Rabbit Crew DLC, throughout a lot of the cutscenes, you can actually see Usapion popping up in some of the early game cutscenes, which I thought was a really nice Easter egg. So by now, you probably have a really strong team, and you're ready to become a part of the big leagues. Well, you do just that. You go on a Blasters tournament and become, well, grade A Blasters. Another chapter, the game has spoilers for the next Yokai Watch movie, where it's pretty much the premise of the movie and some other really cool characters that you can unlock. But one of my favorite things about this chapter, besides the final boss, was that you could scan a QR code, get Enma's actual Yokai Watch medal in your inventory, and if you fought him enough times, you could actually unlock him as a playable character. Like, how cool is that? You actually have Enma's medal. Remember, the 3DS has a QR code scanner and the Switch doesn't. Really just think about that. Stupid, like, UFC readers, like with the fucking amiibos and shit. By now, in this part of the game, mostly the post-game, it was really hard for me to continue, and I would have to play multiplayer to get some really high-level 99 people to join my team so that they could help me beat these final levels, which was really cool. If you actually play Blasters, you can probably still find found some people playing it, and I was surprised at the time that like the community was still pretty strong. The final boss. Yeah, he's definitely tough to beat, but I beat him. Oh, and there's other side modes. There's the patrol one where you can go around and befriend yokai and collect items. There's the Oni Orb hunt, which is a really cool rush mode where you can just collect as many Oni Orbs as possible so you can buy upgrades and level up your yokai. And this other one where you can do really hard challenges and fight some pretty unique final bosses and fight off against some pretty unique yokai like Pink Emperor. This game's huge. Lots of content, like always. Yokai Watch is super awesome, and I really hope to see this franchise return soon. I've noticed in the newest Nintendo Direct, Level 5 shows up with a Professor Layton game, which is really crazy to me, which means they're doing globalization like the leak said. There was like some sort of stuff going on. I think about like 3-4 weeks ago, Level 5 was talking about, globalization and, making games and stuff again, coming back to the US and whatnot. And now it's obviously come through. They have a new Professor Layton game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they started localizing Yokai Watch 1 for the Switch and Yokai Watch 4. You know how much that would mean to me? If I get a Nintendo Direct and it starts out with a Terra Time Watch or something like that, I would fucking scream. It probably won't, since they're localizing a game and not, a new one. But if we get these 2 new games and it does well, and we get a new Yokai Watch game after that, like, you know how much this means to me? I don't want to get ahead of myself. Whatever, that's for another day. Make sure to like and subscribe, because that would really help me out a lot. And let me know if you like these Yokai Watch videos, because I definitely do.